Welcome back to the channel, chess enthusiasts. Today we've got a fascinating puzzle position that's all about sharp tactics and clever deflections. It's Black's turn to move, and let me paint the picture for you. White has their king tucked away on g1, with a powerful queen sitting on b7, and a rook dominating on c7, really pressuring Black's position on the 7th rank. White also has pawns on a2, b2, d4, e3, f2, g2, and h2, giving some structure but leaving the back rank a bit open. Black, on the other hand, has their king on h7, a queen on d7, a rook on d5, and pawns on a7, e6, f5, g7, and h6. Material-wise, White is up a couple of pawns, but Black has active pieces that can stir up trouble. This setup screams tactics. Think checks, captures, and threats. As a grandmaster, I'd always advise weaker players to start by looking for ways to disrupt the opponent's coordination, especially when pieces are lined up or blocking each other. Here, Black has some tempting options like capturing the white rook on c7 with the queen, but that might backfire because White could retaliate hard. Instead, the brilliant move is to slide the rook from d5 over to c5. This isn't just any move, it's a deflection tactic that forces White into a tough spot. See how the rook now lands on c5, directly attacking the white rook on c7 along the open c-file? That's a big threat, because if White does nothing, Black can snatch that rook next turn. But White has responses, so let's see how a good player might react. First, the obvious try, White captures the invading rook with their own rook from c7 to c5. Boom, White grabs the rook for free, right? Well, not so fast. Now look at the 7th rank. With White's rook moved off c7, that square is empty, clearing the path for Black's queen on d7. c7 was the blocker before, but now Black can slide the queen left to capture White's queen on b7. See the arrow showing the newly opened path through c7? This is classic deflection. Black lured White's rook away, opening the line to win the queen, and b7 isn't protected by anything now that the white rook is gone from c7. Net result? White got a rook but lost their queen, a bad trade that leaves Black with a winning advantage. A good player as White might see this coming and avoid it, but it's still a material swing. Let's back up from that line, because maybe White tries something smarter instead of taking the rook on c5. What if White ignores it and goes for Black's queen, capturing with the rook from c7 to d7? That seems huge, snagging the queen on d7, and since the black rook moved away from d5, there's no protection there anymore. But hold on, this is where the genius of Black's move shines. With White's rook now on d7, the c-file is completely open down to the 1st rank. Black responds by dropping the rook from c5 straight down to c1, landing on c1. And that's checkmate. Why? The rook attacks all the way along the 1st rank to the white king on g1, with no pieces in the way. The king can't escape to f1 or h1 because the same rook attacks those squares too. It's controlling the whole back rank, and nothing can capture this rook safely. This is a perfect example of a back rank mate, where the open file and rank combine for a deadly finish. White walked right into it by greedily taking the queen. But wait, can't that cheeky rook on c5 simply be captured by the pawn from d4? In that case, the disaster doesn't strike along the c-file, but rather the d-file, and the queen delivers a back-rank mate on d1. Once again, the limited mobility of the white monarch proves fatal. If White tries something else apart from taking the cheeky rook or the queen, like moving their queen to safety or pushing a pawn, Black can simply capture the hanging rook on c7 on the next turn, now safely, because the deflection has disrupted White's setup. Either way, Black comes out ahead, often with a material edge or even a quick win. The big lesson here for improving players: always look for deflections that remove key defenders or clear paths for your pieces. In this puzzle, RC5 does both. It threatens, deflects, and opens lines for devastation. Practice spotting these in your games and you'll win more tactics. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button, subscribe for more puzzles, and drop a comment with your favorite tactic from this one. See you next time.